Bulletcast for life.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Under the Radar. My name is Brandon Tanguma, and on today's episode, we got another edition of NXT Television to talk about, a recap of NXT UK Takeover Cardiff, as well as a WWE legend suing WWE over some trademark disputes. But first off, let's talk about some news in terms of WWE's writing staff. It seems as though there has been a shakeup. This is according to old Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer. He says that there has been a shakeup on the writing team. So now Ryan Ward, who has been the lead writer for SmackDown, is out. He is officially being said to be on personal leave. In recent weeks, the SmackDown scripts have been heavily edited by Vince McMahon, and it was known for some time. It was known some type of change for SmackDown was going to be coming down the line. Ed Koskey, who has been the head writer for Raw, is now being moved over to SmackDown and will be working with Eric Bischoff. Koskey has been working with the company for more than 18 years and has been a key writer for more than a decade of and he's also currently the vice president of the creative writing team. The writing teams for Raw and SmackDown will be split into two distinct teams going into October. That is, of course, once SmackDown goes over to Fox, Raw stays on USA, so it's going to be pretty much split. There's reports that there's going to be a draft coming up in October. I think it's like the second week of the move to Fox, just so it's kind of another rating stunt, a rating ploy for WWE to get them. And it makes a lot of sense for the writing team to be split because, especially with two different networks, they're going to probably want some different things to be done. And if you keep if you have both teams working with the same type of same wrestlers, it's going to be kind of hard for them to get on the same page because maybe the one writing team wants to do something with another wrestler, but then on SmackDown they are trying to use that wrestler to get over another wrestler. It's almost kind of like trying these dual promotion type shows. Sometimes it can be a little bit of a hassle, but it seems as though there is going to be a shakeup, and I didn't mention, but now Jonathan Backstrom has taken over for the lead writer of Raw. If I can talk right now, he will work under Paul Heyman. Obviously, Backstrom has been the lead writer for 205 Live since November 2016, although he has been moved from the show when Paul Heyman brought him in when he started being in charge of Raw. So definitely the whole Paul Heyman on Raw, Eric Bischoff on SmackDown dynamic is definitely starting to take shape. I think we've kind of seen maybe a little bit of changes. I think Raw has, maybe more consistently been a good show. It's not, it hasn't really got really high highs and really low lows. I think it's just kind of constantly being, good to pretty good to, not so good. So I think that's been pretty good. SmackDown, it's kind of up and down. I think it kind of hurts being the second brand, and especially now with Raw and SmackDown kind of having both kind of the same roster. I think that also kind of hurts it as well. So SmackDown kind of gets the leftovers of Raw. But moving on, we have Ric Flair threatening legal action over WWE's use of the man. So apparently, WWE has filed a trademark for the man. I guess just the man moniker. Apparently, Ric Flair has had that trademark. He said he's had it or he's used it since 1981. He claims that the WWE lawyer initially said that the term wasn't even close to what Flair had trademarked. And Flair, this is all on a TMZ video, by the way, if you want to go and check that out. It's about 3.5 minutes. They stop him at an airport, and he goes over a little bit. He said that he wants to work out a private agreement with WWE, but they had no interest in doing so. He even reached out to Triple H, but they could not come to an agreement. Flair said that he owns the trademark for the phrase "to be the man, you gotta beat the man," and filed for the trademark "the man" on August 26th, specifically as it relates to wrestling. He said he has no issue with Becky Lynch using it in any terms. He just wants to be compensated, and he added that his daughter's also upset with him for filing the trademark. So he's going out there and he's just kind of explaining that it has nothing to do with Becky, Charlotte. He's not trying to do any malice with this trademark. He's just trying to set up his family, his family as well as his wife's family, especially after his medical scare a few years ago, to where he was practically dead, and he kicked out at 2 3/4 like only the Nature Boy could do. So we're gonna have to stay tuned and see how the relationship with Ric Flair and WWE goes on. He's kind of had an off and on relationship with WWE. Triple H is kind of that liaison. He's always kind of Ric Flair's pretty much best friend in wrestling. Vince McMahon, it could be on and off, but I think in the end it's probably going to work out and they're going to get something done. It's awkward. We talked a little bit about trademarks on the Bulletcast yesterday, so obviously that's going to be a term, or not a term, but something to look forward to or look into as the months goes on and as a legal dispute. Maybe this goes to court, maybe something goes on, who knows. But so let's move on to some actual wrestling. We have the NXT UK Takeover Cardiff show, and Saturday was a very busy day. You had Royal Quest from New Japan. I know I said I was going to cover it. I assumed, as I said this on the Bulletcast, I assumed that the show was going to be on New Japan World. Maybe I'm a little spoiled because we had the entire G1 climax for pretty much $10, and now the Royal Quest show that I thought was going to be on the New Japan World streaming service was not. And in fact, it was on a Fight TV for $25. And apparently, there was some sort of streaming issues. There was some, sound issues and everything in between. So I will wait a few weeks for that show to get up on the streaming platform. I've heard some good things. I heard that it was a pretty good show, but I will go out on a limb, and I saw All Out. I saw this Takeover show. I don't think I haven't been really seeing a lot of coverage, a lot of talk about the show, but I think NXT UK Takeover was the best show of the weekend. So I'm going to get into talks and stuff. So if you haven't, definitely I would recommend you, if you don't want spoilers, to go and check out this match. Absolutely fantastic. I think the tag team match and the main event were two of, if not the two best shows or best matches of the weekend. So let's jump right into it. So this show is taking place from Cardiff, Wales. On commentary, we only have a two-man team, and that is Nigel McGuinness and Vic Joseph. We kick off the show with the opening contest of Noam Dar taking on and defeating Travis Banks in a singles match. Pretty good, solid opener. It clocks in at 13 minutes, 55 seconds. So kind of a long opening match, but I thought it was good for what it was, just kind of there. They, do some good spots, get the crowd into it, get them warmed up. So nothing really to write home about. Next up, we have Cesaro, who issued an open challenge, and he is answered by, I'm going to butcher the name, Leisha Dragunov, and he goes, and Cesaro beats Dragunov in 12 minutes and 26 seconds. Cesaro goes, and apparently he did like 40 rotations. I think that's what the crowd counted, and he did 40 rotations on the swing. Another good match from these two lads here. After the fact, Cesaro jumps out the ring, and he was going to go back, but then he stormed back into it, teased that he was going to turn, but he didn't, and they do the whole sportsmanship, and yeah, everybody loves each other, good sportsmanship, stuff like that. So now moving on, we get to the meat of the show. We get the NXT UK Tag Team Championship being defended in a triple threat. We get the champions, the grizzled young vets, Zach Gibson and James Drake, taking on Gallus, which is Mark Coffey and Wolfgang, and the Welsh duo of Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster. This match clocked in at 20 minutes and 17 seconds, and the Welsh team of Mandrews and Flash Morgan Webster get the victory. And I picked this as my match pick of the week because I thought this match was definitely underrated, under the radar, one might say. There you go, I said it. And I thought that, everyone's talking about All Out. probably people were talking more about Royal Quest than this show, but I thought this tag team match, definitely talking about the main event of this show, but I thought this tag team match could be polarizing. It was kind of your stereotypical indie match where they just threw everything at the wall, a ton of near falls, a ton of high spots, but I definitely thought this worked very well. I mean, I think I saw this match at very late at night after Saturday night after All Out, and I was watching the match, and I thought at the time that maybe that match was better than anything that happened on All Out. Maybe the tag team ladder match I still would say was a better match, but I think with everything involved with the hometown crowd, cheering on their boys, and they end up winning, something you don't see sometimes a lot in WWE, but the Wales crowd cheering on the Wales team, and they actually win. I thought a bunch of great near falls, a bunch of drama, and everything in between. Definitely go and check out this match. Possibly second. I think it's definitely, there's a lot of matches, a lot of stuff happened on this weekend. I think it's definitely top five. I think you can argue it could have been a top three match of the weekend. So then next up we get Joe Coffey and Dave Mastiff in a last man standing match. We get the top rope breaking. We get Joe Coffey and Dave Mastiff going all over the arena, and they brawl over to the announce table, which is over by the entranceway, and they go back and forth. And in the end, both men were almost about to stand up, but then Coffey took out Mastiff's legs, and then Coffey stands tall for the win. So these are just two big men, big old hoss fight, and they're just wailing on each other. I thought it worked. I'm not a big fan of last man standing matches, but I thought this was good. They kind of wailed on each other and they kind of went all over the arena, so it kind of added a different element to the show. I thought it was good. Nothing too special. But then next up we get Kylie Ray, and Toni Storm in the NXT UK Women's Championship match, and this was kind of a blood feud, a rivalry. These were two lifelong friends, and then Kaylee just kind of turned her back on Toni, and now Toni trying to get retribution, but no, Kylie, I am messing it up, I know, but she ends up getting the win over Toni Storm. Now, I am very high on Toni Storm. I think Toni Storm is probably the best women's wrestler probably in the world, but definitely I would say on the WWE roster. And I think it could be a good sign that she lost here with NXT going over to USA Network. Maybe Toni Storm makes her way over to the United States brand. We saw Rhea Ripley do that. I could see Toni Storm making her way over here stateside, and she can be, the people thinking who can take down Shayna Baszler. I think a Toni Storm Shayna Baszler match, a feud, it could be absolutely amazing. I think Toni Storm is a star waiting to happen, and it's not a shame that she's over on the UK brand where it's probably, one of the least watched shows. I mean, definitely one of the least watched shows in the WWE brand. But I think just in terms of buzz and people talking about it, it definitely goes under the radar compared to, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, New Japan, AEW, maybe it's above 205 Live, but I mean, NXT UK is definitely just kind of down there, and people say it's good, but people aren't really talking about it like they do the other stuff. And if Toni Storm goes over to United States NXT, I think that would be a fine move there. So then we have the main event, the match everybody's talking about, the NXT or the WWE United Kingdom Championship. I still don't understand why everything else is NXT UK, but then this is the one title that is just the WWE United Kingdom Championship. It is what it is. The Walter is the champion, and he takes on Tyler Bate, and Walter defends it in 42 minutes and 12 seconds. I mean, this was a long match, and I think it maybe not dragged at points, but it was like, geez, this is a really long match. I think, somewhere between like the 25, 30-minute mark, where it's like, okay, I think this is definitely going to be a long match. Maybe they're going to go even longer. It was fantastic. I mean, Walter and Tyler Bate two wrestlers who, Walter is much taller, much bigger, but then Tyler Bate's shorter. But I mean, he looked great. I haven't seen Tyler Bate work in a little bit, and I haven't really been keeping up with him on the Instagram. But my God, Tyler Bate is jacked. He looks good, and he has believable, strong man, believable strength when he was lifting up Walter and just doing all that things. I mean, he hit a burning hammer on Walter, for God's sakes. And I thought, great match, absolutely fantastic. I think best match of the weekend by far. I mean, just the drama and Tyler Bate, the crowd just chanting for him, wanting him to win, and I mean, I loved it. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. The I mean, I think the babyface lost, and I think you can still have great matches where the babyface loses. You don't need that crescendo of the babyface going over, and I think this was just another one of those instances where the crowd was into it, and just the babyface lost, and it just makes the crowd want the heel to lose that much more, have the babyface come back and beat the heel. So definitely go out and check out Walter versus Tyler Bate. Check out the entire NXT UK Takeover Cardiff show. And now let's go over stateside for yesterday's NXT television recap. This took place at Full Sail University, of course, airing on the WWE Network on September 4th, 2019. As always, on commentary, we got Nigel McGuinness, Beth Phoenix, and Mauro Ranallo, the penultimate edition of NXT before they go to the USA Network. So we get the opening theme, and the first match we get Breezango taking on Chase Parker and Matt Martell. We get Breezango's theme, and they kind of are going all in with the cop gimmick once again. I thought it was good. They had got the kind of hot cop stripper look for them. One thing that I didn't like about the match is that both teams were wearing like long. They were wearing black and white pants, so obviously you're not going to really get them mixed up. But I just find it awkward and kind of something that you should definitely check out beforehand, that you guys aren't wearing the same outfit. I remember at the Double or Nothing show, the Jack Evans and Helico taking on the Best Friends. Both teams were wearing neon green and black outfits, so it was just kind of hard, especially in the crowd, to decipher who's who, because there's just long black hair, and there's neon, and there's jumpsuits everywhere, so it's kind of hard to decipher. But in the end, Breezango get the win in 4 minutes and 8 seconds. I thought, both teams looked pretty good. They put over Chase Parker and Matt Martell pretty well. They are a French-Canadian team. They talked a little bit about them, not resembling, but, maybe trying to become some of the other great Canadian tag teams out there. But I thought it was good. They got over Breezango. It was a complete burial of the enhancement talent, because I'm not going to call them jobbers, because I thought they had some good spots and some good moves in there as well. And overall, pretty solid opening tag team match. Then we get Jordan Miles outside with Keith Lee, and Kathy Kelly stops them and asks Miles about his championship match tonight. Miles said that he'll give it his all, and Lee said a guy like Miles, who just got here and is already getting opportunities, should have all the confidence in the world. This was an interesting promo. I think more on the Keith Lee side than on the Jordan Miles side, just because I think this kind of hints, if not outright proves, that Keith Lee is going heel. I thought there was a little disdain for Keith Lee, being a little jealous that he's been there for over a year and he hasn't had a title shot, and yet Jordan Miles, has a cup of coffee in NXT, and he's already main eventing NXT and having a championship match. So I think definitely they're setting up a Keith Lee heel turn. I don't know if that means he's going to turn on Jordan, if he's going to turn on, Dijakovic, if he's going to turn on Cole. Who knows when, and where Keith Lee is going to turn. But I think a heel turn for Keith Lee, probably what he needs up until this point. Not saying that he's stale, but, he's lost a lot. And I think they're definitely telling the story of him getting fed up and getting... even the story they told a few months ago where he changed his name to from Limitless to Unstoppable, or whatever his new moniker is. I think they're definitely showing that Keith Lee is in a little bit of a rut, and he's going to go at any means necessary to get an upper hand. So then we get the announcers hyping Velveteen Dream and Kona Reeves later in the show. And then we get a Cameron Grimes promo in it wasn't really backstage. I don't know exactly where it was. I kind of want to say it like looked like a greenhouse kind of thing, but he threw a tantrum and said that he is at the bottom now. He should have won the breakout tournament, and he repeated that he should be the champion over and over and over again. And he put on a top hat and he walked out of whatever the hell that there was. I mean, it was kind of an interesting look for Trevor Lee because, I mean, I haven't really seen him outside of his wrestling gear. So he was wearing the top hat, he had a vest, and then he had some like tight khaki pants on. So it was definitely a look for Cameron Grimes, aka Trevor Lee. But I mean, I thought this was good. I think it definitely sets him up as a heel going forward. Looking at the depth chart, I mean, I think he can go in any which way possible. I mean, Matt Riddle's kind of held up at the moment. I mean, maybe we can see Cameron Grimes and Velveteen Dream. That could be fun if Dream holds on to that NXT North American Championship. Speaking of Velveteen Dream, we will go to the Dreams match with Kona Reeves, non-title, of course, and Velveteen Dream wins in 4 minutes and 1 second with a Dream Valley driver. After the match, Roderick Strong appeared on the Tron, and he said that he was ready for him. And the camera panned away from Strong, and he showed that he lit Velveteen Dream's couch on fire. Oh, the humanity, and Dream sold it very well. And I thought overall the match was good. I think this was maybe one of the better showings from Kona Reeves. I thought both men were good in their roles, kind of similar, kind of over the top eccentric wrestlers. So I thought they were a good fit here. I thought it was, a good showing for Kona, but in the end, Velveteen Dream gets his character over and then gets the definitive win. I thought Roderick Strong had a decent promo. I'm still not really sold on him as a talker. Really good wrestler, but I don't know if it's like the voice or just his inflection or something. It's just something's not really clicking with me when it comes to Roderick Strong promos. He has gotten better, I will say that, but good, solid promo angle, everything. And then they announced that there's going to be a title match for the North American Championship between Roderick Strong and Velveteen Dream on that first episode of NXT on USA Network. So that should be a whole lot of fun. We get a Rhea Ripley hype video, short and sweet, just kind of introducing the NXT audience to her if they didn't see her at the Mania Classic, if they don't watch NXT UK. Just pretty short and sweet. And they announced that next week that they are going to have a match, non-title, between Rhea Ripley and Shayna Baszler. Then we get Tainara. Not Tainara Conti, but yes, Tainara. So now Tainara is the latest victim of WWE chopping off a name. So now she's only a singular name, just Tainara now. She is the Brazilian judoka. And now she is facing off against Bianca Belair. And Bianca Belair wins in 5 minutes and 38 seconds. Tainara, I mean, I like her. She's a good-looking girl. She has the judo background, so there is aspects of her character that is there. But I mean, she's kind of been there in NXT for a little bit, and she just kind of sits there, and she has an okay match. She's just kind of there. She's squash fodder for the Bianca Belairs, Mia Yims, the upper echelon women. I think she could be elevated, maybe not to the main event women's level, but I think she could go and be in. I mean, I don't know exactly because I haven't really heard her speak. I don't know what her promo ability is. I think she has a heavy accent. I think she speaks okay English, but we're just gonna have to stay tuned and find out about that. I mean, I think she seems fun. She comes across as she can either be likable, bubbly, or she can just be a total bitch, one might say. But now, next up, we get Adam Cole getting ready for his match. We get a Connor's Cure spot, and next week, Johnny Gargano is going to address his future. William Regal announced that a triple threat match for the Women's Championship, a title shot at the Women's Championship between Mia Yim, Bianca Belair, and Io Shirai, will be taking place. And there you go on that. So we got some upcoming matches for NXT. And in the main event, we get the NXT Championship match between Jordan Miles and the champion Adam Cole, baby. And Adam Cole wins and is still your NXT champion at 14 minutes and 36 seconds. Absolutely a really good championship match. I mean, maybe one of the better. I don't know how many championship matches we've seen on NXT television, but I thought this was definitely in the upper echelon of them. I thought they told a good story. I think it was really uh, unbelievable. It wasn't really believable that Jordan Miles was going to win the championship here, especially so far. We're only 2 weeks until we get to NXT on USA. But I thought they did a good job. They had really good chemistry. I assume they've wrestled on the indie scene countless times before. Maybe waiting for a Keith Lee heel turn. Maybe Keith Lee shows up and we get something there. But nope, just a straight up Adam Cole and Jordan Miles match. I mean, I said this, I think, about Andrade, and I think I even said this last week that I hope that this was a match of Adam Cole just goes out there, he wrestles, he doesn't need the help of the Undisputed Era, and that is exactly what happened. I'm happy that they did with that. What they did with this match, it builds up credibility for Adam Cole that he's a good wrestler. He doesn't need Undisputed Era, but yet he still continues to use them, which makes it even more agitating as him being a heel. Jordan Miles, who knows what's going to happen with him in the future. I mean, I think he's good. I am still higher on Cameron Grimes in terms of everybody in that breakout tournament, but I think he's a close second. Jordan Miles as a babyface, I think has a lot of upside. I think he did cut back quite a bit on his smiling demeanor that he did so much early on in the tournament, which I hated, but I think he's definitely improved in that sense. Wrestling wise, no complaints. ACH, great wrestler, and 2 weeks away from NXT on USA. A lot of these people that aren't getting television time on a regular basis, like Keith Lee, now Cameron Grimes, ACH is going to be in the mix, so it should be a whole lot of fun and see where NXT goes in the future. So that'll do it for me for today. Go to the UTR mailbag. That is utrmailbag@gmail.com, and y'all already know there ain't nobody emailing it. But if you would like to email, as I said, utrmailbag@gmail.com. Slide into the DMs on the Bulletcast Twitter. I got access to those, so just put in under the radar UTR, just something to let me know that you want it answered on Under the Radar. Let me know. We can talk about anything. We can talk about life, talk about wrestling, New Japan, NXT, anything you want. Hell, we can even talk about the craziness that's going on with Antonio Brown. And speaking of Antonio Brown, we are sure to talk about that on my other podcast, my sports and wrestling podcast, Curveballs and Chair Shots. Go and check that out. We talk about sports and wrestling, so definitely last week we did our full prediction for the NFL season. Definitely going to talk about all the shenanigans going on with Antonio Brown and the Raiders. I mean, who knows what's going to happen. Maybe by the time we talk on Friday, that Antonio Brown might be a free agent. Who knows on that? But that'll do it. Thank you all very much. Kind of a shorter episode than usual, but definitely a jam-packed weekend last week, or the calm before the storm, one might say, before the beginning of October, and even in a few weeks with NXT and USA on Wednesday. So it's gonna be crazy. So buckle up. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Make sure to listen to the Bulletcast episode we did yesterday. New episode coming next Wednesday. Until next time, goodbye and good night. Bye bye.